Right, so we did hear from the minority leader on the budget, and of course yesterday we did have Petal Ann. So we had from the minority. So now we have the sitting Secretary of Finance, Ms. Petal Roberts, Mrs., and of course Anslem, and she's Secretary of Finance, and of course Mr. Anslem Richards, who is the advisor, technical advisor to the Secretary of Finance. Good morning and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. All the planned address together?
No, we didn't know, but great minds think alike.
Excellent.
Well, good morning, Brother B, and good morning to Tobago. Good morning to the online viewers.
Right. I will tell you what happened behind the scenes, right? They can't wait to rebut from what Mr. Morrison would have said, according to what I heard here in the banter a little bit. But anyway, I see them hug up, all kind of thing. So they're friends. That's a good thing I saw.
No, yeah, man. Yeah,
very good. All right, so let's get into it. Obviously, the allocation, the biggest that Tobago has ever gotten, and of course we're going to break it down as to where monies will go to and so on, because clearly people are looking for accountability and transparency.
Definitely.
Madam Secretary, the largest allocation, just your overview as to what Tobago received, given it's 6.3% of the national budget?
Well, if you were to include the transfers from the ministries, the works that the ministries will do in Tobago as well, and they have always done that. But traditionally, we have only recorded what the government gives to the THA, and that is 5%.
5%.
6.3 is if you want to include all the investments in Tobago from the ministries as well.
Very good. Mr. Richardson, Mr. Richards.
Yes, sir.
You are... All right. So let's come to how this money would be distributed. We did not, and let's break it down, we did not hear what was allocated for CPEP, and I'm asking you straight and plain. Is there a plan to eradicate CPEP nationally, or is that CPEP will stand as what would be maintained by THA? We do have contracts here, and we do have contractors staying at home and getting paid at the end of the month and so on. That nonsense do exist here in Tobago. But let's speak to the breakdown of the budget that was not announced. So we know CPEP and URP will get its percentage and what have you. Nothing like that was mentioned. The last year's allocation for recurrent expenditure was 2.376%. A billion, sorry, of the budget. Let's speak to the details as the devil was hidden from the rest of the national public. Let's get that. So let's start.
So let me set aside the misinformation in the public space about the closing down of CPEP and URP.
Excellent.
Especially in Tobago. In our conversation with the ministry, CPEP and URP in Tobago, we are sure will be funded. As a matter of fact, the budget department have made the request for the releases for the funds for the first quarter of fiscal 2026, which is October to December. So that is being processed. It is confirmed that $19 million have been allocated for URP, and the normal allocation of $9 million has been provided for CPEP in Tobago.
That has been done.
That has been done.
So that comes out of this allocation.
That is yes.
No. So let me give me an opportunity to clear it up. So I want to go back to the discussions with the minister. So we had a discussion with the minister prior to the budget, and as you know, the budget request in June was 5.9%. The minister raised some concerns. We have some challenges in the economy, and he said, what is the lowest you are willing to accept? He said 5%. We said you could take it up to 5.1, as that represents the percentage share of Tobago's population of the national population. CPEP and URP, he commended Tobago, how we operate in Tobago for CPEP and URP, and he said to us, Mr. Richards is here as witness, that we would like to mirror or mimic or emulate what you all are doing in Tobago, because in the Trinidad space, they do a contract system. We have employees in these programs. So he said to me, I like what you're doing in Tobago. We want to fashion what you do in Tobago in Trinidad. I spoke to the minister on Wednesday because I heard that the minority had a press briefing about the URP and CPEP being disbanded. He said to me, the URP and CPEP will now be handling a fund under the Ministry of Finance. Usually, it's under several ministries. CPEP is usually under Rural Development. URP is under the Ministry of Public Utilities, or Works, or one of them. I think it Works. He said now it will be handled by the Ministry of Finance, and he has a special fund. It's called the Employment Fund, and he has the Unemployment Relief Fund. There's $310 million in one and $475 million in another. He said to me, don't worry, we are going to send the money. Ask your administrative staff to send your request. We have requested
Which
the
is
funds.
how much? Just to repeat the figure again?
I think it's either 18 or 19 million. Because I don't have a document, he said the usual amount. The usual amount is 18 million, and CPEP is 9.2.
All right, okay, fine.
Right?
All right, Mr. Richards, the last time we spoke, but I want to move on from CPEP quickly, because we're going to maintain CPEP in Tobago. However,
And
let's face the reality. URP, CPEP and URP. URP is doing reasonably productive, right? We can say that they're building benches and that's good. The school system benefit as a result and so on. However, CPEP, we just spoke to Mr. Morris about integrating them, making them their jobs dignified by integrating them into the agricultural sector. I give example of what the varying agricultural stations in Tobago, for example, Hoop Farm used to produce milk, and they had a large percentage of employees there that were government, quote-unquote, workers getting a government salary, going home and get a pension when they don't work. Is there any ambition by the THA to convert CPEP into a more productive entity? We had that conversation, right? You're starting with you, Mr. Richard, and we're going to talk about the funding and how that can be done. Or maybe we don't need to do that, but just employ them as agricultural workers.
Well, I could say that this administration, the Fadi, Chavez, Agustin, that administration have dealt with some reform of CPEP and dignify the workers, increasing their salary, giving them employment benefits, so they are in a much better place that we have received them from the PNM for 20 years in terms of their ability to feed their families and take care of themselves. So that was done early in the administration, because in 2022,
correct,
the Chief Secretary said they have to be brought to what we call livable wages.
Excellent.
And he made that decision. So when policy changed the arrangement in increasing the minimum wage, the Tobago European CPEP was way ahead, enjoying enhanced employment benefits because of how the Chief Secretary and the administration and the executive looked at the whole issue of livable wages. Right. So that was done. In terms of increasing productivity, there are a number of initiatives that this administration has been pursuing in terms of training, skill enhancement. The Mega Farm program is one that was designed specifically for the migration of workers from the Europe to the Treaty of USA into these kind of productive activity. Because at the end of the day, governance and employment is about productivity and producing goods and services for the consumption of the island population. And therefore, that's the strategy going forward. If you go to the development pathway, there are clear activities, projects and programs to treat it how we move in terms of enhancing productivity and workers' productivity. The Secretary of Finance in a budget presentation in June spoke about task-specific training. Training and education is a significant component of the focus areas for this administration in fiscal 2026. It is written in the document.
Very good.
So training is a pillar of the transformation. Training and education and personal development is a transformation pillar in the whole ambition of this administration to make Tobago the greatest supply.
Very good. Ms. Roberts, let's come now to continue to disaggregate the allocation.
Yes.
All right, so CPEP and URP is taking 18 million thereabout for URP and 9 million for CPEP, right? So, and that funding will come from where again, just to be clear?
He told me that the Prime Minister will bring an announcement on that, but based on his speech, his budget presentation, he did indicate there's a fund.
For that.
An employment fund and an unemployment relief fund.
Excellent.
So there are two funds under the Ministry of Finance. As a matter of fact, when we met prior to the budget, he did indicate CPEP and URP would not be funded directly from the Ministry of Finance.
All right, so the Ministry of Finance, let me put that here, right?
Yes.
So when I have to refer, I could talk about it.
Yes.
All right, let's go now. Recurrent expenditure last year will be taken away. We're doing some subtraction here.
Yes.
Last year's recurrent was 2.376 billion.
Correct.
Out of the how much billion last year? 2 point something billion. All right.
2.5.
Yeah, 2.5. All right. Given that we have 3 point something, we're taking 2 point something out of the allocation. And you tell me, what is the recurrent expenditure for
2.74 billion
this year?
This year.
Right. So you have to subtract that from where you got from your allocation this year.
I don't understand.
No, what I'm saying is, I'm going over this. Right? Last year we had to subtract from 2-point-something billion, right?
Subtract.
I go in because you have to take this out for your allocation. Your recurrent expenditure comes out of your allocation, am I right?
Yes, correct.
Well, exactly.
Oh, so you're asking me what the whole is? The
Exactly.
whole is
So
2.96 billion.
Right.
From that, if you want to take away 2.74, you are left with 201.5
all right.
million.
I'm asking this straight up, both you and Mr. Richards.
Yes.
If we are serious about developing Tobago, is that enough?
Right. So let me tell you what my take is. My take is that the central government does not understand the importance of investing in the development program, in the PSIP. I believe so. I think that they do not understand that. However, the Tobago House of Assembly over the years has the liberty to transfer from recurrent to supplementary DP over the years.
You have been doing that. Your administration.
We have been doing that. Yeah. No, the THA has been doing that from
all right, and you're doing that this year again?
We have to do that this year.
All right, and we will get to the projects, specifically Project 1, Project 2, and so on. But so stay with the point that you're making. So you will take away from your recurrent expenditure to put to your development because the money not enough.
Correct.
And you said that it seems to be an ongoing mindset in Trinidad that only you need that amount.
I don't know if it's in terms of the needs. I think it's a matter of understanding the needs because we have to articulate our position via the budget presentation. We usually will have meetings with the Ministry of Planning and so forth. But I don't know what is their method of allocating for the development program. I really don't know. I can't say.
Mr. Richards, you've been in this thing long. You know the mindset of those who live in Trinidad staying over there and saying, oh, you don't need all that money over there because everything seems to be all right. All you have big house over there and so on. We don't know. And they come up here and they say, but how they manage to build them big house and things so expensive in Tobago? The Tobago know how to make and to, we are maths magicians by knowing how to cut and contract. But let's go to, I have a problem and we see this straight. Why it is ministries in Trinidad get more without debate? They get that allocation whether they want the ask for it or not. Largest or the largest slice of the budget. Tobago had to struggle with agriculture to find out which one could get more. Agriculture have 1-point-something billion. We got 2 that amount. We come to a conversation where Dr. Vannas James said right on this set that we have to stop this percentage nonsense. You and all admitted we have gas and thing right out there if you go up the 4th and the 9th. Has the conversation changed for demanding more, Mr. Richards, for what Tobago really needs to advance Tobago's development, Mr. Richards?
Well, this is a progressive conversation, and it is rather surprising that Dr. James, the man who represented Tobago in the negotiation for the DRC, that sets up the percentage, he said that is nonsense. He negotiating for a way now. So let Tobago now, he been a representative THA.
Okay.
And at the time, I woke up here every time at the time, and he went down to Trinidad and negotiate percentage. So if you say a nonsense now, well, the thing is an evolutionary thing, and I am saying yes, there's a need for a more what we call a fair share arrangement.
All right.
That takes into consideration our development needs.
I'll stick up in fair share arrangement. Stay there.
Yeah.
Now, when we send our budget on paper, Ms. Roberts said she had a conversation with the Minister of Finance. The fair share arrangement has to do, it can't be on paper that he communicates and send an email and say, no, we can't get all of that, and we dismiss it because there's no face-to-face. Because when you are face-to-face, there's a different kind of respect that you would get or disregard. Depends on how well you articulate your position. Mr. Richards, we cannot continue. We go talk figures of what you plan to do and so on. But the real conversation about Tobago advancement is that we can't rely on no percentage or no budget. Let's speak to that. The face-to-face, the demanding and respecting Tobago's condition. Because we are 100 years behind, Mr. Richards. When could we get to a place where we can boast that we have a proper airport? We're waiting for next month, second quarter in the year.
January.
So let's speak to the real conversation that we need to have about Tobago's fair share of what is really.
So you see, no matter which angle you come from, the fair share arrangement will always bring you back to a percentage of the national budget because it's a pie you have to share. Right?
Okay.
So you know, you cut it will come back to a percentage.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue is that no, in the fair share arrangement, the foundation on which it is built is really your per capita share. Your population base is where you start. You start sharing up the thing and say, okay, you have 5% of the population there, it's supposed to get 5% of the budget. That is the starting point. And then you move from equality to what we call equity. Equity takes in now all the nuances Tobago have been behind, underfunded, so we have to compensate them to bring them up to speed and all of that. So, and I would move from this equality, which is the per capita share, to what we call a more equitable fair share arrangement. So it's a progressive kind of analysis that you take into consideration the discrepancy between the development in Trinidad and the development in Tobago, the services that is available in Trinidad that Tobago and have to go down there to compensate, and all those things comes into the equation. So it's not really a straight line thing that you go to 15%, but you have to make the calculation. So where we are now is the simplified version that the same Varners James and them negotiate. So they say at the time when he negotiated the thing, the population of Tobago was 4.03. He never come and tell Tobagonian at the population that set up the baseline for the DRC. Now. It took me and others in the Farley administration to really make the argument. You understand what I'm saying? So he come and you know, but the thing of the matter is that, so that, and that's where it starts. So the 4.03 was the population share. So that was the minimum. That is the equality share. And the variance between 4.3 and 6.9 was to take care, to move you from that to a more equitable share, taking into consideration the lack of opportunities, the underdevelopment of Tobago, to move it to 6.9%, to deal exactly with what you are saying. That is how the DRC ruling provides for what you are saying. However, for the last 25 years of the DRC, most administration in Trinidad stick to the population share, and they had us so. But I want to make this point. In 2021, the PNM administration in Trinidad said that the population of Tobago grew by 25%, and therefore it required an expansion of the island government. The Carabilla Parliament, they moved the Tobago government from 12 to 15, which is a 25% increase. But they never increased the allocation to Tobago to 5, because 25% are 4, are 1, and when they add 1 to 4, are 5. It takes the administration have to do it.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
So we got that one.
So when them fellas come on the set and they're talking about share and share, you never hear Kevon Morris and Anna Webster Roy and Shampa Kwadju and Joel Jack and the one from Bukoe Neva and Sil Dennis and them stand up and explain to Tobagonian and argue for more. Because you know why? They mortgage Tobago's entitlement for the progress of their party and their position. Why you want to stop me?
But hold on. So we recognize that this allocation, we have to go into the recurrent expenditure.
Yes, as we have always. And I'll tell you, the flip side can happen. Let's say the government gave us $1 billion in development funding, and we decided that the recurrent was short for some strange reason. We could shift from DP to recurrent as well.
Really? All right, so you could maneuver. All right, let's go there now. So let's deal with priority number 1.
Yes.
That the THA must undertake. The education got 8.7 billion. The secondary school, you went Roxborough Where you went? Right.
And Comfrey.
Carbosec, is there pending. That school that is supposed to build at Bacalet. There was no conversation about that. I don't know if in your conversation with the Minister of Finance that came up. Let's talk about what is priorities for Tobago's development, given that you have to move some money from recurrent to development. So
the priorities that was set out in the June 2025 budget request, the budget statement, remains the same. The areas are tourism, agriculture, digital transformation, human capital development, infrastructure, and the micro, small, and medium enterprises sector. Right. There are some other critical areas, though. Scarborough Sec is one. But, Brother B, I don't want to get into the priorities because we have not met as a government just yet after the budget to determine what are the other priorities. But I can tell you that the Scarborough Sec School will be an a priority. Another priority on the recurrent side.
Who is it? Central government or the
No, the THA determines. Okay. But we saw an increase in the allocation. We got 500,000 for Scarborough Sec last fiscal, but I saw an increase. I can't remember.
And what the money did it? The 500 million. It's 500 million.
$500,000.
It's still there waiting to.
Well, if that's last fiscal, we couldn't really do anything much with it.
But let me ask you. Just for the public. So when monies are allocated for a project, it mightn't happen this year. What happens to that money? Is it
we either shift it to another priority area, or it goes back as unspent. But in this case, our development, we don't send back development monies as unspent. We shift it to other priority areas. So you would see things like the lighting of playing fields. We had the construction of the Charlottesville pavilion. We have some projects that are ongoing where we need to see them
So
fast
you
track.
shift accordingly.
Yes.
Depends on the demand. Right.
Correct.
So you mentioned the varying sectors in what you have as priority, right? You mentioned the tourism sector. And I have to take you now to the airport that is, I am not happy with that, Mr. Richards, that is supposed to open in the second quarter.
Yeah.
I am asking what can do to fast track it. Somebody tell me aviation and all of them have to pass things before it can get to that. Right? What was also announced by the Minister of Finance is that we will have direct flights or move to make direct flights from the United States to Tobago. And there are other destinations willing and ready to come there. However, let me go touch on that. However, if we do have accommodation for them, he mentioned Elephant Tree. Somebody had to come in to see where that place there is. Elephant Tree. I don't know. I see what
just before the fire station.
Where?
You seen some in
It's right over there?
Yeah, just before the fire station, you're seeing some construction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So Elephant Tree and Marriott.
Yes.
We have some issues surrounding the Marriott, given the sensitive nature of the real estate that they want to put Marriott. But we're not going to go into that. But just speak about that undertaking by central, is it central government undertaking, and how will that work in tandem with the THA? And should you get pushed back like you got with Sanders? As we got good news that the finance minister said we will have direct flights from the United States. However, the airport should be open in the second quarter. We had 700 plus million added to our allocation to treat with those matters. Let's speak to those potentially what can happen with the advent or the presence of Marriott and the room stock. Of course, he spoke about Elephant Tree also. So let's start there with you, Mr. Richards.
Well, definitely, if we are moving to expand our tourism footprint on the island, it means therefore we have to elevate our room stock in terms of both quantity and quality. The airport is designed to accommodate, I think, over 3 million people per year in arrival and departure. And therefore, that is a significant climb from where we are now. And therefore, it will take a significant amount of effort and intention to market the island, sell the tourism product. We ourselves, as Tobago and Tobagonian, has to develop the product. We have to diversify. We have to prepare our people to benefit from the gains that will be had from the expansion of the tourism offering. We have to prepare our farmers to ensure that we get things from the Tobago farm to the table in these restaurants. I know there are certain farms in Mason Hall that can provide good meat, sheep and other things. You know, so they have
sheep, mutton, yes. Lamb. All right, good. Yes, good.
You know, but definitely, I think the Marriott project, the Chief Secretary is on record. This administration, we visited with the developers, and all the ecological and environmental issues that is associated with that site has been identified, and the design and operationalization of the hotel will be such as they take care of those concerns to preserve those important historical artifacts that are, belong to the people of Tobago. So they will not be destroyed and they will not be compromised. That was one of the express requirements by the Chief Secretary to the developers for that project to move forward, and there is an agreement in that. So that project, from where I sit and the knowledge I have on it, is a go. I think the developers are awaiting one other statutory approval to move forward with that hotel. So that process is very advanced. For the start of
project start. When it's predicted to start? What time?
We don't have a time, but I know the last conversation the administration will have had with the developers is that they are waiting on the final approval from the statutory authorities so that they can set construction start-up time.
All right, so we do have the Elephant Tree, which is due to open next year, I understand. I'm not sure, I have to see it myself. In terms of where is it from a percentage sample? Is it 45, 50%, 85% ready for opening? You live in the East, so you would be able to say.
Well, I'm from the East.
Never far.
I'm from Roxborough, right? Yeah. So when you pass there, you're seeing buildings are going up at a rapid rate, and therefore the project is a very active construction site. If the developers say that they will be opening next year, I think probably they are on target. So because when you pass, you're seeing a big hive of activity taking place on that construction site. It is just before, on the same side of the Roxborough Fire Station, just before the bridge crossing, that fenced area, that hoarded area is the construction site.
Excellent. Ms. Petal, we're staying with the tourism sector. There are investments that need to be made. One of them is foreign investment. Elephant Tree is obviously one of them. Marriott would come. However, there are other areas. Well, one of what curtails or prevents foreign investment is the incentives to the foreigner, that land license issues and all the other issues get in the way. Is there a drive to ensure that we have the relevant or the right investors in Tobago that really wouldn't suck or take away the freedom of movement? For example, if you build a hotel, you can't go on the beach because you build it right there and he feed you on the beach. Those types of protection for citizens. I remember I see in Barbados that the region protested and they had to allow for access to the beach. But that's just one. There are other areas in Tobago that may want to attract. For example, I see right there in Cano Bay a sign saying water park come in down there. And so those people made the arrangement already and don't access the land there. Now, how, in terms of how we benefit that contributes to the GDP, what are the arrangements to accommodate foreign investment in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, in terms of, just give you the example of the water park. I don't know that that is a foreign investment, but it's a partnership with the Tobago House of Assembly. But the conversation with the foreign investors, I have not have those conversations, so I don't even know really and truly what the direction is. I know the issue of the land license is a continuous discussion we have been having. We had it with the Minister of Finance as well. I know the Chief Secretary has been having it with the Prime Minister. And I expect to see some resolve on that matter soon. And then we'll get to, after that, we'll get to all the nuances in terms of a private investor when we want to buy a piece of land and then you don't have the access because it becomes a private. Those kinds of conversations I know will come, but at this point we are not just there yet because we have to resolve the land license issue. But there are other initiatives under tourism that we want to advance, and that is harnessing and monetizing the cultural product that we have.
All right.
You know, in Tobago, I went to Bahamas the other day and I was walking to their fort. And I was walking as if, because the place is not fenced, I was just walking up and a man ran and stopped me. He said, no, you have to go back and pay. And a tour guide has to take you. And we have to get to that point because I don't know if there's any Caribbean island that gives you open access to their sites, their historical sites. So, but we are working on that. It would mean that we'll have to man these areas and ensure that, we get the bang for the buck in terms of monetizing. But not only the sites, but even the cultural product that we have to monetize and harness these offerings.
All right, so training and development is key. If we have to put on, because sometimes I go to some places, I see people doing a cultural performance. It really doesn't represent us. But let me talk about the monetizing the historical site. That's what you're talking about. Now, Antigua, you can't go in there because there's a police officer there with the girl collecting the money.
Yes.
And it's US they're charging. I'll come into that now. Mr. Roberts, there is Mr. Richards, rather. Ms. Roberts, Mr. Roberts. There is money to earn. US, we charging to go to the reef in TT dollars. We're losing money, and nobody ain't seeing that. Them fellas doing what they want out there. I want to deal with that whole question of the Marine Park issue in terms of the lawmaking powers that Mr. Farley has asked for in the press conference right in front of the Prime Minister right there. Apparently, they never did have the conversation. So, if we have to seriously earn from the historical sites and the tour guides and so on, there's a tax that has to be imposed on these operators, first of all. And second of all, to those who would, if you're with your friend and so on, there's an entrance fee to go to the historical park. You're not going to make $1 million in a day, so you ain't going to kill nobody. So if it's 20 US you're charging and so on, over 5 years, when you calculate that, you make about $1 million and so on, and then eventually how much money you're going to make annually and so on. Let's speak to those that you mentioned as to how we can earn from the tourism product, given the cultural and, of course, the historical viewing of our visitors when they come here and how we charge them.
Before I let Mr. Richards go in depth into that, because Mr. Richards heads, we have a technical team from each division, officers from each division, that deals with these kind of policy prescriptions and initiatives. But before I let him answer, because they bring recommendations to the executive on how we can do these things. I want to let you know and the public know that the conversations on Tobago's challenges are ongoing. It doesn't matter which government is in office, the same challenges, issues, and matters that I brought to Minister Imbert were brought to Minister Tanku. And it's the same applies to the Chief Secretary. I know the conversations with the Prime Minister were not as cordial as it was in the beginning for the Chief Secretary and the former Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley. But the same conversation. So I heard you said that they didn't have a conversation, but I want to let you know and the public know the conversations remain the same. We have been fighting for Tobago no matter who is in office.
Very good. All right. Mr. Richards, you heard me there with them fellas not making money really. Only if we charge in US. You go to any part in the Caribbean, that partner is US, you have to pay. Let's speak to that and the potential that can be earned in terms of the revenue going into the treasury, better off with GDP.
So, but I want to make this point as the launch pad for this conversation, is that we could get the whole national budget, and it could be nice, but if we complete the internal self-government project,
of course,
that lawmaking power,
Yeah.
nothing significant is going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we can formulate all the policies, but if we don't get the legislative power to put law behind the policies to enforce them, the wildness will continue.
Okay.
All right. That is the point the Chief Secretary was making. That we have sent legislation because of the current constitutional legislative construct that we can't make laws in Tobago. The last administration, the Overland London administration, would have sent a bill calling Tobago Marine Park Bill to get laws to regulate the Bucco Reef and the use of the reef and how you organize the boat and the safety requirement, because the boat are sink down there
Exactly.
and man a chapman
and
all kind of crazy
nonsense
in that space.
Yeah.
And therefore we have policies, but we can't enforce them because there is no law to give enforcement life and requirement to these policies. And therefore that makes the internal self-government project the #1 priority for Tobago. And this is not
when, Mr. Richards, they hear you now. And here people just ask me a cup of tea, but it'll be when they go start the conversation about self-government.
Well, no, let me make this point, because the Chief Secretary on the dawn of the new administration prepared what we call a pathway, which means we want to get to the end of this thing in the shortest possible time, to the Prime Minister, saying this is how we propose to conclude, to work with you to conclude the Tobago internal self-government, and he submitted a proposal to her. I think which she accepted in principle. We are doing our part in Tobago, preparing our contribution. We are supposed to get some draftsman support, legislative draftsman support from the Chief Parliamentary Council, and some constitutional support to amalgamate all the work we would have done before, because this process is over 40 years, 50 years, probably older than I am.
Come on.
And therefore we can't be going on with this thing.
Right.
This is the most significant issue. So that is an active pursuit of the father-led administration. And he has been having frank and open conversation with the Prime Minister at that level on this matter. So their proposal have been submitted. I think from where I sit, if we keep the timeline, I think we could probably conclude this matter long before the end of fiscal 2026.
Very good.
Right? Remember, the parliamentary configuration is very sweet and sexy for that now. There's only one vote or two votes we need from the opposition.
Okay, right.
I hope Kelvin Morris will tell Penelope, because you have to support that thing every time Tobago.
But while you're saying that, I have to ask, is the THE election going to be called prior to or after?
Well, that is outside the scope.
And even mine.
All right, what we'll do, when we come back, we go to the other sectors that you spoke,
Yes.
agriculture as one of them. And when we come back, we continue with both of these brilliant minds in the THE in finance. See you after the break.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
There are some new developments in housing in Tobago. So it's court race processing plant. This is 116, the show that keeps you in the know with all things Tobago House of Assembly. Each week, 116 delivers a fun and engaging overview of the latest developments, achievements, activities, and events of our dynamic assembly. So join me. Let's dive into the Tobago House of Assembly's Week in Review right here on 116.
Right, what a healthy conversation. Obviously, Tobago's future is at stake given the finances that we would have gotten, and of course the highest figure in the history of the Tobago House of Assembly and under the THA, under the Farley-led administration. We have two of the Secretary of Finance, Ms. Petal Roberts, and of course, Mr. Anslem Richards. As we get ready to wind down the conversation, agriculture we did not touch on. We spoke tourism and we know where you're going and so on. But let's get to agriculture and what that can contribute to the GDP as to Tobago getting enough to mind your own business, so to speak.
Right. So under agriculture, what is critical is allowing our agri-entrepreneurs to contribute towards the food sovereignty and the food security goal that we have. Mm-hmm. Because under the development agenda priority, that's priority N, where we want to have food sovereignty and food security. The Mega Farms project has already started. That was a priority in fiscal 2025. Mm-hmm. So we have started to develop our Mega Farms in Friendship, Indian Walk, I think Corland. Those are areas where we want to do the Mega Farm, but some of them have already started. Mm-hmm. And with the Mega Farming, there are certain food crops that would reside in certain areas. Mm-hmm. So we have already started that and partnering with the agri-entrepreneurs to push that initiative.
Right. So let's talk about yield, though. Yield, because at the end of the day, you want to see the money. What kind of undertaking is it to run? Well, how does the private farmer benefit? Is he going to be employed on these mega farms and paid by the THA?
No, I think the idea is to get to develop the farm mm-hmm. in such a way so to give them the access to space mm-hmm. for them to grow their crops. Right. So it's not that they will be employed. We're just developing a mega farm an area, and they will be able to.
And they can make their own
yes.
profit and so on. You mentioned readiness for because agriculture and the tourism sector goes together. You mentioned about training and readiness to provide. Let's bring that into perspective because that is critical.
Yeah. And the training in new innovative agricultural technology. Because the mega farm, just to build on what Secretary said, the mega farm strategy, so it's two strategies. We have the mega farm and we have the mega farming. The mega farming aspect of it is where the Secretary is out, the Secretary of Agriculture and a team is working with farmers to scale mm-hmm. their productivity in certain crops, in specialized crops in certain areas. Mm-hmm. So we scale it. So if you were doing 5 acres, we give you 10, mm-hmm. so your production ramp up, mm-hmm. you have more food on the island.
Excellent.
So they're scaling, right? And the scaling include to how we educate them in the use of fertilizer, pest control,
using technology.
Using technology and all of that. Mm-hmm. Irrigation system, probably greenhouses because with climate change, all those things are factored into the whole scaling strategy for farmers because the environment is changing. There's no rain and fall and all kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And the hills low, river, dam and all of them getting low and cold, and the largest source of water is under threat. So all those are issues that are factored into the equation for the mega farming strategy, how we scale farmers. And then the other arm of the mega farming project is to really try to establish bigger farms under government land, about 200 acres under active cultivation, so that we could do more massive food security and food sovereignty programs. So that is a twinning of the concept of mega farming. So the mega farming and a mega farm, and we're scaling and we're going along. Training and technology will be as very
pivotal.
Mm-hmm. Let's bring the livestock aspect of agriculture and food production. Of course, you mentioned sheep and goat, and well, you didn't say goat, but the livestock chain of supply for agriculture, that too is also critical. Let's speak to that. What plans are there, and how does the farmer who is in husbandry able to earn from that type of investment?
But when I presented this budget, I said I will do the broad areas. I really don't want to get into I prefer the Secretary Panton to give you the details. Yeah, because what we did, we looked at the broad areas, and the Secretary is the one that came up with these broad areas. And now that we know what our allocation is, and when we do the reprioritization, they will decide what are the critical areas we're going to make investments in.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, I'm going to shift quickly, and so we move to education. You did mention that as part of
education and human capital development. So we are going to do massive training. As a matter of fact, when I met with the heads of department to close fiscal 2025, and we're talking about fiscal 2026, task-specific training, we will go on a massive drive, because in the Tobago House of Assembly, we can have all the money, but if we don't have the institutional knowledge and the capacity and the know-how, we also have the bureaucratic barriers. The THA is purely manual. And there are rules and regulations. We have the procurement legislation. So as much as we have 5%, or we have gotten about close to $366 million more, we still have some deficiencies. And to counteract those, we're going to have task-specific training for the Tobago House of Assembly. Also, we're going to integrate digitization into our everyday public service delivery lives. So I've asked all heads, and throughout the THA, this will be an initiative where your work plans, because we don't just sit down and bring the policies. We ask you, the heads of departments, you have to bring your work plans in line with what the strategic plan of the THA is, which is your budget statement. I told them, let me see how you're going to utilize technology into their daily work for efficiency, effectiveness, and productivity.
Excellent. Mr. Richards, we got to close, and we're going to get you. We better go. Yeah, we're closing. In closing, let's go.
So I'll let him, and I'll go last.
Yes.
So what I will say to Tobago and to the Union is that this administration have determined the destination to become the greatest secure island on the planet. They have plotted the pathway, clear, and we have started the journey in earnest in fiscal 2026. It is that kind of technical planning and preciseness in what we want to do and how we want to do it and where we are heading to that have informed the THA 2026 budget and the response in Port of Spain. Remember, the allocation to Tobago did not happen in a vacuum. It is in response to the proposed work program that the Secretary of Finance submitted to the Minister of Finance in June.
All right.
And let me just finish.
Yeah, then fellas, we gotta go.
The man said he loved the thing.
In closing, I want to say to Tobagonians that we continue to manage the resources in a transparent, in an accountable manner that benefits all the people of Tobago. I want to also say that the Minister of Finance did a fantastic job in terms of the challenges that we face economically in this country. I think he was very courageous, and I think he was realistic in the measures, the fiscal measures used to manage the expenditure and to generate revenues for Trinidad and Tobago.
Ladies and gentlemen, we really thank you. Very informative, and we've been
next time we have to take about an hour and a half. We gotta rush.
We gotta go.